went out with him when I told you not to.
Maybe we thought we were
She was just dressed like a slut.
together we crossed a thin line.
To change her mind is her fault.
I turned cold when you took control of a body that's mine.
If you wouldn't have done that, you wouldn't have been hurt.
My mom even told me that I probably wanted it. I wanted to have sex with my grandfather.
Ain't it some kind of cry?
The why. These are all victim-blaming statements. Make a survivor feel like, oh, well, maybe this is really my fault. No, we need to flip that script and turn that around. When you report being robbed, they don't sit there and ask you,
Your car was stolen. Well, you left the keys in your car. Clearly, that is your fault.
so you were walking down the street, you had your wallet in your back pocket. Why did you carry your wallet in your back pocket? Why didn't you have it in your front pocket?
No one's supposed to be still in the car anyway.
We can't blame the survivor from going out and getting drunk.
No one who goes on a blind date is supposed to be assaulted.
The last time I checked, just because you go out and get drunk doesn't mean it's now legal to rape you. That's not a thing.
That's not how it works.
There's only one person to blame, and that's the person that committed that act of violence.
Everyone kind of like, oh my gosh, she's a bad child. It was her fault. You know, they don't really want to expose the pedophile on the family. He stole my innocence.
Sexual violence can happen to anyone.
Anybody can be a victim.
Everyone can be a victim.
Anyone,
People you would never even expect.
male, female, a child.
The grandma that's asleep in her bed,
Survivors come in all shapes, sizes, and ages.
I remember being a little girl, I had my happy moments. The person that really took care of me at the time was my grandfather. He was grooming me.
It is someone that you know and trust and love.
it happens in so many different ways.
Absent consent, it's rape.
It could be a friend, somebody they met on Tinder.
If you're passed out and you can't give consent, it's rape.
We often have spousal rape.
If you were making out and then you said stop, but the partner takes it further, it's rape.
It's a crime often of opportunity,
Rape is an act of power and control.
a deliberate and violent act.
Sex is the weapon.
My grandfather was someone I loved. He threatened me. He said that if I told on him, he would go to jail. He made me feel so guilty. He had me controlled.
It is so important to talk about sexual violence.
Because people don't want to.
For too long, it was not talked about.
We glorify sex and we shame sex.
It's super uncomfortable to hear that 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys are sexually assaulted before the age of 18.
How else are we going to end it?
It's the only way it stops is by us raising our voice. Stop the stigmas. So if we don't talk about it, it's going to keep happening. Obviously, it's always going to be part of me. It still hurts. What I do know is that I'll always have support.
They might not have a support system because they feel shame, they feel blame, they feel guilt.
They have lost their power, they've lost control, they lose their identity.
Because they were victimized.
There is a common belief that men cannot be victims of sexual violence.
Say they're crazy. Anybody can be a victim. That doesn't make you a weak person.
They're not supposed to be hurt.
The person that is weak is the one that's been doing that to them.
They've glamorized the women that are perpetrators. Wow, isn't he lucky that that teacher abused that young man? They still have to cope with that emotion of what happened and that feeling of shame. There's a lot of anger and a lot of aggression.
Somebody did something bad to you. We can't help you until we know your story.
It started off as just pornography. He was always around me, always touching me, and I totally just froze. I didn't know what was happening. I would kind of just let him touch me. He was screaming me for me to actually have sex with him. He tried to shut me down, but he didn't. I beat him.
Our role as an advocate is to dispel the myths so that they can make an informed decision as to what's the best path for them.
Softening the presence of law enforcement so that they feel more comfortable working with us.
We're empowering people and educating people and helping them heal on a daily basis.
And ultimately, what we want them to have is power and control back.
This is the closing chapter of what happened to me. And they feel empowered and they feel strong, just visualizing.
The advocate's role is to be like a human being for the survivor.
But what's most important about this place, we start by believing.
I remember my first meeting with the counselor here. I'm so thankful for her. She was amazing. When she told me that it wasn't my fault, I felt so liberated. I waited so long to hear those words. I felt like I belonged.
We are a place of healing. We are a place where most survivors' journeys begin.
And you're gonna find out that your essence is there. Because sometimes when you are hurting, you're feeling that somebody stole everything from you.
We are here and we will help you. We will do whatever you want us to do. And it's really about your choice.
We need to let people know that it's okay to tell your story. It's okay to get help.
Everyone's story is different. The hardest part is just making that first call or, getting here. You've been through so much and you're surviving it.
We get asked quite often, how do you know you're making a difference? If we can plant the seed for one person and make a difference, that's what matters.
These kids have been through hell, and if I can be the one that helps end that for them, then I've been successful.
I get overwhelmed with the bravery when I sit with a support group and the power that is there in their honesty and truth. It's why we do what we do.
Sometimes I'm the very first person that they've ever described the most traumatic event in their life to. And they're terrified, and I'm always blown away by how brave they are. And so often they're reporting so that the same thing doesn't happen to another.
It's when we know that we have shined a light for someone who was in absolute darkness. I won't go so far as to say we saved their life, but we saved their dignity. To me, that's important.
There's a stigma that I hear all the time that if you cry, you're not healed. No. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to free yourself with your tears. What happened to you, it's not your fault. You're allowed to be human.
This body is mine. I'll be just fine. Just give me some time.